the soundtrack. I am so impossibly excited for that game. Trying to remember. Oh, Outlast 2. I had a great time with Outlast 2. Of course, the first one was fantastic, but they opened up the second one, so you're not really trapped in the corridors anymore,
Ooh.
like you were with the first one. Um,
Does that make things feel worse? Like like
um,
like I haven't been following the game too closely. So like what's the setting like there?
you're in this weird cultish village. So in the demo, you're kind of you're going through. It almost feels like um, the old village from Resident Evil 4,
Oh,
like
geez.
like that kind of feel.
Right.
And you know how you like your old creepy houses. So
Oh,
it's
man.
it's old creepy houses everywhere, and you're going through it, and you see the villagers like, and their eyes are kind of glowing a little bit because you're using the night vision camera, and you see them, and they'll just like when you spot one of them, they'll like slowly back away and disappear into the darkness. Um,
Yikes. So
it,
openness may not be your friend in, in this game.
yeah, it's a different kind of fear.
Huh.
I when you have those closed corridors, it might seem like that's more terrifying,
Yeah.
but at least when you have that, you have a sense of direction. You know that even if you're on a hallway, scary thing in front of you, I turn around and run the opposite direction.
Right.
Very easy to understand. In
Interesting.
this game, you see something, you don't know where the hell to run. So, and you don't know what else is out there. So, because there's villagers everywhere. So it's a different kind of fear. But if you like the first one, you'll love the second one. I think it looks really great. I love the style. I've been on this weird horror kick recently, so yeah, I'm totally digging anything like that. So yeah, Outlast was a lot of fun. The one game I didn't get to try that I was really upset about was Pyre, the next game from Supergiant Games. They're the ones who did Transistor and Bastion.
Yes.
Um, and I know I'd actually emailed Greg Kasavin, and he was going to make some time for me. I didn't get a chance. There was just so much to do.
Yeah, he's a good guy. That's a good team there. Um, yeah, I met Greg a couple years ago um, when they were showing off Transistor.
Yeah,
And
for the launch.
yeah, talented group there. Really excited for anything they put together. Empire looks really interesting.
Yeah, it's a great art style. And I've watched a lot of the gameplay for it, and I'm definitely interested to see where they're going. It's very different from the stuff they've done in the past. So,
Yeah.
but I'm totally for them just trying new stuff. So that'll be great. Let's see what else. I see. I played all these pointless games. So like most people are going to want to be like, oh, go play Dishonored and Battlefield. Like I went and played like Yakuza 0 and I Am Setsuna, which I love. I Am Setsuna. It's kind of an ode to old school RPGs. Uh, and let's see what it was. What else? Like Star Ocean, of course. Like I'm a big JRPG fan, so I was like, I was playing all the JRPGs instead of like the things that everyone else actually cares about. Actually, you know what? One thing that was kind of interesting for me is I've never been an Xbox guy,
Mhm.
admittedly, but Scalebound. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this could be fun.
Sure.
I was watching some of the gameplay today, and he was fighting this big freaking scorpion monster. It was like massive. This freaking massive monster. And that reminds me that and Final Fantasy had the demo for that. They were fighting this other huge monster. Like the stuff that they can do with these games now is just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
These freaking I can't even. I'm not even going to try and estimate how big these things must be. Like if you were, actually trying to size it in real life. But man, just the size of those things was incredible. So yeah, like when I saw that battle that for Scalebound, that really makes me want to go get an Xbox.
Well, the good thing, because I agree. Like when they first revealed Scalebound, I don't know, a year ago, maybe I think it was 2 years ago actually,
Mm-hmm.
E3 2014, when they first showed off that trailer. Like I was kind of, it looks okay, kind of weird.
Yeah.
But to actually, see it in action, with some kind of boss fight, probably at the end of a dungeon or some kind of, quest line or whatever it is. Like it had me kind of impressed. Like I could imagine like grouping up with some people and just having a blast taking one of those things down. And yeah, love the scale of it. It seems crazy, big and crazy, and I'm real interested to check it out. And the good thing is that Scalebound is, I believe, one of the first Xbox Play Anywhere titles. We never got a chance to talk about the Microsoft conference, but one of the big initiatives that was announced there was Xbox Play Anywhere, which allows one purchase of a digital copy of an Xbox title, and it unlocks a copy on your Windows 10 PC. And it's one price, multiple copies. It stays with you and your Xbox Live account no matter which device you play on, which then scales to not just Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs, but also, Xbox One S, which was announced, and Project Scorpio, which we have some details about. That'll be coming out holiday 2017. So this is kind of like, we saw a glimpse of the future of Xbox as a platform. Yeah. And it's kind of like your stuff follows you, your controllers, your accessories, your games. It goes with you. And so like I could be on my Xbox One with Scalebound, and Derrick, because you don't have an Xbox One and maybe you don't want to get one, maybe you're holding out for Project Scorpio, but you could play on your computer and we could play together. And then when you eventually get a Project Scorpio, I'm being optimistic here. Your saves will
just
carry
for Alan Wake 2.
Your saves and everything follows you. So it could be really cool. The game looks really interesting. And I figured it was Japanese enough to get you interested.
Yeah. There's definitely a couple games that are definitely pulling me over. It's just I guess I will. I'll have to jump on board when the new one comes out. God, there's going to be so much money to spend with these new systems. The PlayStation Neo, PlayStation VR, Nintendo NX, Xbox Scorpio. I just it's too much. It's just
gaming PCs.
Yeah, I know. All this money that I'm talking about spending on all these gaming consoles, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get a gaming PC. It's too expensive.
Well, I mean, the good thing there is that no matter how you want to play, you have options, right? You have price options, you have spec options. A year and a half from now, there's going to be a whole lot of tech, a lot of hardware on the market. So at least for the Xbox platform and that brand, like you can play however you want. Like it's not going to matter anymore. So yeah, totally invest in. You could totally invest in a 4K PC and have that ready to go for VR and all that stuff.
I know, absolutely. The opening up of the ecosystems, and there's still that the rumor of the trying to get crossplay in the future between Xbox and PlayStation. But yeah, anything that opens up the ecosystems or provides more diversity in tech choices is great for us as the end users.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alex, like these days, you're predominantly a PC gamer, right?
I mean, that's kind of what I've switched towards. I mean, I still have a couple console games that I'll pick up to play with friends, but for single player stuff, I'm mostly sticking to PC.
Very cool. Well, the good thing, not to, I don't want to sound like an Xbox shell, but I really like their approach and their kind of like vision of the future. because that's all I really want as a gamer, is I just want to have my stuff and be able to play it however I want, wherever I want. So I'm really interested to see. I mean, the discussion about like iterative consoles and marginal upgrades, like that's a whole other thing. I'm more interested in one purchase that follows me wherever I go.
Absolutely. Yep. And something I just read in the last couple of days was Microsoft announcing that their games will be available on Steam as well. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how Steam cloud saves could potentially play into Microsoft's plans, or what they're going to do there. If you get it on Steam, do you also get it on Xbox, or is there going to be the Microsoft store that you have to go through?
Yeah, I think realistically, we're looking at baby steps, but those baby steps can turn into much larger, leaps and bounds later on. So maybe we start with, some old Microsoft titles, get, Age of Empires on Steam, or, something like that. I don't know if we're going to see like Halo 6 on Steam necessarily, but maybe there's a future where, that can happen. Maybe we'll see, a lot of people think this is just total BS, but maybe in the future we'll see a Steam app on the Windows 10 store. Maybe, who knows? But I think everyone's willing to work together and compete together in a friendly way.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious, since you guys didn't get to go, and I know, Jason, you've been to E3, several times. What did the conferences and what did the whole show feel like to you? From an outside perspective, did it look and sound and feel like the same old E3, or did you get any kind of different view on it this year?
Let me throw that to Alex real quick, because I know
Sure.
Alex hasn't gone to E3, so I'm actually very curious to see if you've noticed a change.
Yeah, so I guess one thing that's interesting that ties back into the kind of the point before about companies going and doing their own thing, but really, I guess the announcements that came away from E3, I think for myself and for probably most people, they couldn't tell the difference. They probably, half the audience doesn't even know that those companies weren't at E3.
Right.
The fact that they're still taking advantage of the week and the hype around the week, but then also still getting the exclusive media looks that we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, I guess to the end user that doesn't look any different really. And from all of the really selective media shots that you'd see from like various shows or whatever, they're going to show you the ones where it looks like a crowded booth. You're not going to see empty hallways or empty booth space. And so that filtered message that you'd get, I think, it generally would look the same. I don't know if I would have noticed a difference.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, I agree with Alex. The only thing I would add is, since we follow this, we follow the industry pretty closely. And I know the changes that are occurring behind the scenes, and some not, some pretty much out in the open, especially with like the departure of some big third parties this year, and we'll see if they come back. I mean, I don't know if there's an incentive for EA to come back next year. I don't know if there's one for Activision. Nintendo could have maybe been on the verge this year of trying to decide whether or not they should go, because their titles, let me put it this way, NX is not ready to show yet. Whether it's the games aren't ready or the hardware's not ready, Nintendo just wasn't ready. And does that mean that they should, throw their booth away and then try to fight for it next year? Or do they have to maybe consider, maybe a Direct? Maybe Directs really are the future, and we don't need big press conferences ever again. And maybe we don't need the show.
Well, next year's going to be really curious, because a lot of these companies, even if they don't have a lot to show, they'll still go to E3 just to keep that floor space. And once you have abandoned that floor space, then all of a sudden it's open dibs for it.
Yeah, I think.
But then again, there was a lot of empty floor space, so maybe it's not a big deal.
They'll just all like pack into one hall.
Oh,
Can you imagine that? Can you just imagine that for one second?
no, I don't want that. That sounds like hell.
Yeah, I think if anything, well, one of the big changes I've noticed